I'm Davy, and I'm awesome, and welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell funny stories from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. So like I've talked about before, I've been in retail a long time. Different retail jobs, but I've worked with the public most of my adult life. And throughout the course of working these retail jobs, more times than I could possibly keep track of, I've had people ask to speak to a manager. And I will admit, sometimes they deserve to because I was being rude on purpose, but screw them. I've also had them want to speak to managers over the most ridiculous crap that not only can nobody do anything about, but nobody would even want to do anything about. But I'll tell some of those stories later. But more often than not, it's something simple, but really just something nobody can do anything about. But there is one story amongst all the stories of a customer wanting to speak to a manager that stands out in my mind, and I'm going to tell that story today. But before I get to it, I got to give you a little insight into this particular customer. See, this was a long time ago when I was working at a gas station, and we had this customer that came in, and I'm just going to refer to her as VAC. She was an extremely annoying person. Like, not just like most customers being annoying because they request ridiculous stuff or get mad over something that's just out of your control. No, she was one of those customers that had to find something to nitpick about every day she came in. No joke, no exaggeration, she would nitpick about the stupidest crap. For example, I'll give you a couple of annoying things that she used to complain about. Like one of them, this is a gas station. And like many gas stations, we served food. But like most gas stations, not good food, not like gourmet food, not like food that we actually made ourselves, more like food that we pulled out of the freezer and put on those heated hot dog roller things, like hot dogs and other such items. And one thing she complained about constantly was this.
The colors of the taquitos need to be more distinct.
Come again?
Well, the beef is like a pale lighter yellow, whereas the chicken is just a slightly darker yellow.
Okay.
Well, sometimes I grab beef when I meant to grab chicken.
I really don't know what to tell you about that. We don't actually make the taquitos here. They come in a box of frozen taquitos and we just put them on the hot dog rollers.
Well, you should tell your manager so they can do something about that.
I'll spray paint them red for you. But that wasn't the only thing. Like, another annoying thing she used to do was with our little coffee bar area. It was actually in the middle of the front entrance. It was a big round table with a bunch of different coffee pots, different flavors. And these weren't the kind of coffee pots that you see in most gas stations where it's the big glass container with the orange handle or something like that. No, they were just these big containers of coffee, and the only way you could tell if they were empty or low was there was a gauge on the side that would kind of just show where it was at. And we had a system among the employees there. If it wasn't busy for a moment, you could walk away from the register. We'd usually go over, look around, see if they were low or not. If we didn't, we actually had a timer set for 2 hours, and every 2 hours, we'd change out the coffee pots. Whether they were full or not, we would just dump them out and make some fresh coffee of every flavor. She knew how to understand the gauge on the coffee pots. So every time she walked in, first thing she would do is walk around the coffee pots and inform us which ones were low or not, even if we were busy. Like, even if we had a line of 3 or 4 customers, which in a gas station is a pretty long line, she'd come right to the front and stop the presses to tell us the hazelnut's running low. The most annoying thing about this, I never saw this girl drink a cup of coffee. And the reason for that was one time she even admitted,
I'm just letting you know, I don't even drink coffee. It tastes gross.
then why do you care? Because that's the thing, my wife is that way. My wife doesn't like coffee. My wife doesn't drink coffee. So when she goes into a gas station and the coffee pots are low, she just goes about her business. But there was one time, us telling our manager was not enough. She demanded to speak to one. And that's the story I'm going to tell you. So this particular day, we had a new girl. She'd been there a day or so, and I was still training her. And as I've talked about before, every place has rules about the purchase of alcohol or tobacco sales. This particular gas station, the rule was just simply they had to reasonably look over the age of 30. And VAC did smoke. And the thing is, I never carded her, because in my opinion, she clearly looked to be in her early 30s. But when new people were around and you would tell them that, of course they got nervous, especially because this particular gas station, they did have people employed by the company who would go from gas station to gas station and see if you were actually carding. And if you weren't, you were in a lot of trouble. So I had told the girl, best practice is if you are even a little bit concerned that they might not be over 30, then card them. Because ultimately there's no rule that says you can't. Well, this particular day, I was at one register, she was at another. So all we had at this particular gas station were two. And we had another guy working there, a guy who would later become my roommate, and actually the best man at my wedding. He was in the cooler, stocking the sodas and stuff like that. I was up there with her, still teaching her about her job, and VAC walks in and asks for a pack of cigarettes. Now, even the way she wanted cigarettes was annoying. I would have people, for some reason, like stale cigarettes. Don't ask me, I don't know. It's just an acquired thing, I guess. And so they would ask me to pull the thing out and grab the pack from the very back, because they know the way we'd load them in was just in the front. It was a springboard thing. That's how it was. I'd have other people demand the one in the front, because that's going to be the freshest. Again, whichever. VAC always wanted them from the middle. And not like the exact middle, but like you'd sit there going and pulling one out of the middle, and she would be like,
No, not that one. The one in front of it. You know what? Never mind. The one behind it. You know what? Can you actually give me the one that's like 2 packs ahead of that one? No, not that one. The one behind that one.
And it would always be very annoying until you finally got to the pack that she wanted to give to her. But new girl went through it, grabbed the pack, went to ring it up, and asked,
Can I see your ID, please?
And VAC flipped out. Because VAC did not have an ID. VAC just started going off with,
But I don't have ID, and I'm 36 years old. You can't card me.
and of course this was a new girl, so she was kind of standoffish and looked over at me, and I tried to tell her, if you've been carded, you have to show ID. To which she said,
But I'm 36 years old. You have no right to card me.
and from there I had to inform her, ma'am, it's her discretion. If she feels like you look young enough to where she needs to card you, then you have to show her your ID.
Well, then you ring me up.
I can't do that. Nobody here can. Once you've been asked for ID, you have to show ID. It's just
Well, I'm 36 years old. Where's the manager? Manager! Manager!
She really said all this.
Oh, manager! Manager! Where are you, manager?
As if at some point a secret door underneath was going to open up and the manager was just going to come out and go, "You rang?" At this point, the guy I told you about who was in the cooler could hear this. He couldn't hear me and the other girl, because in that cooler there's fans blowing and whatnot, but he could hear her plain as day. And he comes out to see what's going on, and the moment his face appears, she starts in.
Are you the manager? I need you. They're trying to card me.
And he just looks at her confused and goes, "Huh? No, I'm not the manager. The manager isn't actually..."
Oh, manager! Manager! They're trying to card me, manager!
Now what he was trying to inform her was that the manager wasn't there. This wasn't like working at a big grocery store or something. This was a gas station. At gas stations, there isn't always a manager on shift. It was just us. And we were trying to inform her this as she's just yelling,
Manager! Manager! I'm 36 years old, manager!
Finally, I get her to stop so she can listen to me as I tell her, "Ma'am, there's no manager on shift right now. The manager is at home. The manager won't be here until the morning. If you want to speak to her, you're going to have to come back in the morning. She starts around 7. As for right now, like I told you, we can't override this, and honestly, neither can the manager. If you've been asked for ID, you have to show it. You're not going to be buying cigarettes from us."
Well, what if I come back later?
"Ma'am, we're here for the rest of the night. Sorry, you're not buying cigarettes from us tonight. You're going to have to go somewhere else. There are plenty of other places around here to get cigarettes from. Heck, there's a little grocery store right across the street. They sell cigarettes."
Do they ask for ID?
I'm sure they do, but who knows? Maybe they'll look at you and assume you're old enough and leave you alone. Now, I found out later They didn't. They carded her too. She went off on them too, and still got no cigarettes. Now you may be asking, did she ever talk to my manager? Yes. Apparently she came in that morning to speak to the manager. And I only know this because when I came in for my shift, which was the crossover shift of the morning and the afternoon into the night shift, the manager was there to inform me. She came in, talked to her about what happened the night before, told me that we all did what we were supposed to do, and also informed us she's not allowed in here anymore, which was music to my ears. As far as the night right after she left, while everybody was still sitting there shocked and unsure of how to react to this, the new girl turned to us and said, "Guys, I'm so sorry. I honestly thought I should just card her." And before I could assume anything, my friend chimed in, "What are you sorry for? That was funny as hell." And it really was. It's one of my favorite stories to this day. So the moral of this story, there isn't one. This woman was just really, really crazy. There you have it. That's the story of someone needing to talk to the manager. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, that little bell so you get notifications for when we post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me if you've ever had some weirdo like this come into your place of work. Love you guys.